Hello, hello, welcome back. After 3 long weeks, finally a One Piece chapter review. This will be chapter 1112. It's titled Hard Aspect. So, it's going to be interesting to see where we pick up. As we last left off, the Gorosei were kind of running wild on Egghead, and the Straw Hats were trying to manage their escape. It looked like Dr. Vegapunk might be dying in this arc. Still kind of up in the air. Maybe he's gonna die, maybe he won't, but it seems like he might be about to die. You know, the Dead Man Switch was activated, so there's a message that the Gorosei are trying to stop from being broadcast to the world. We were on a countdown to that message. So I'm guessing with this episode, we might pick up where things were left off with Dory and Broggy about to escort Luffy to the Sunny so that they could finally get off of Egghead. Let's look. We've got a cover page here. It's picking up with the Yamato cover story. Oni Child Yamato and the Holy Inari Shrine Pilgrimage, Volume 3. Consider this parting gift payment for a favor I must ask of you. So this has got Kinemon giving something to Yamato. Asking for a favor. At least Child Yamato Inari Shrine Pilgrimage 3. Consider this parting gift payment for a favor I must ask of you. Yeah, it looks like Kinemon is asking a favor of Yamato. Yamato seems happy to accept it. Got a translator note about the title of the chapter. In astrology, an aspect refers to the angles formed by planets in relation to each other on a birth chart or horoscope wheel. So the title is obviously about the Gorosei. Notes from Oda. Thank you for waiting through my break. That was just what I needed in terms of maintenance. I'm going to go all out now. Well, so seems like Oda's in good spirits, which is very good to hear. Coming back from his break. Okay, the page. It's from the coastline of Egghead. We've still got the marine ships. The Mark III Pacifista have all been incapacitated. Don't let up, keep firing. You can't let Emperor Straw Hat's crew escape. We've got naval officers trying to open fire and continue the Buster Call on Egghead. It'll be a disaster if Jewelry Bonnie gets away. And we see one of the Pacifista down on the ground, deactivated. We've got Venustro still in his hybrid form, half skeletal horse, half human. He seems to be carrying his blade. And he says she is no more than a little 12-year-old girl. And you gave her the power to eradicate entire nations. Your defiance is as foolish as it is insolent, Vegapunk. And Venustro is still galloping around the island. Okay, now we've got Oimo and Kashi. Let's hurry back to the ship. Yeah, some scary looking guy just arrived. Cannons opening fire on the island. Stop them from setting sail. The target ship is from Elbaf. Sink it. Or target the ship from Elbaf and sink it. Get to the northeastern front on a double. Out of the way. I'm not letting you through. So we've got Frankie versus the Navy Vice Admiral with multiple chins. They're both leaping at each other, about to clash. Frankie is rearing back a punch, and so is that naval officer, but his arm has something on it. It says red, and it looks like some kind of mechanical device. Steam strong, right? So okay, this naval officer, vice admiral, has some kind of it's a steam powered device because he was naming his tech and it's steam something. But Frankie's strong right connects. It breaks through his mechanical arm and hits him right in the face. So Frankie easily dispatches this vice admiral. And next page, we've got Giants escaping. Hey Giants, take care of my dad. You bet. Leap. So Bonnie leaps down. Brace yourself, Jewelry Bonnie. You stupid, miserable brat. We're not gonna let you keep we're not gonna let you keep a single one of our war machines. Uh-oh. He's not a weapon. My daddy is a hero, you cleft-chinned geezer. So Bonnie uses her power to de-age the Vice Admiral, he's Vice Admiral, the otter guy. So she de-ages him into a child and then kicks him in the face. This is hard to watch. Stop it. Okay, back to the Labostratum. Aren't you going to drink that big a coffee of yours? Don't tease me, Shaka. It's too hot. You know my tongue's as sensitive as a cat's. There's only 4 minutes left now, Stella. This is definitely the same. So 4 minutes left now, Stella. Sip. Ah. And we've got Mars. Yeah, I think it's Mars. This is definitely the same room. And York. There's no doubt this is where it was filmed, but... Whoa! Suddenly a huge beam hits. Let's see. Is that a beam hitting the Labostratum or a beam exploding out from the Labostratum? Then York says, wait a sec, don't do anything crazy. Stella, there's not enough time. See, you didn't stop diddly squat. We can cool the coffee down if we use thermoelectronic device to alternate the... If I were Stella, I'd have made sure the broadcast nail was well hidden. So yeah, the last panel was Mars blasting through the Labostratum trying to stop the message from playing. And York trying to stop him from going on a rampage, saying that the broadcast snail has to be hidden somewhere, so it's not going to be so easy as just destroying the room. And Mars says, then I shall continue until this entire lab is vaporized. That'd be a mistake. The second floor building of Building B is dedicated to weapons development, and the first floor houses the power station. Not only that, but the third floor Building C stores a number of high-pressure gas cylinders. If you damage any of those, the resulting explosion will blow Punk Records to smithereens. Then think of the solution. You satellites all share an identical thought process, correct? Of course, I know exactly how to stop this. Besides, we don't want to rack up any more sins. Our relationship is already troubled enough. Sense the voice of a small life form above. Me from Punk Records? Don't tell me he hid the snail there. It'll be one of the broadcast snails we recently finished developing. They're shaped like this with sort of triangular shell. And York makes a triangle shape with her fingers to show that it's a triangular shaped shell. So going back up, Mars. So I think this is a display. This has to be a display of observation hockey because Mars, while he's talking to Vegapunk, he suddenly stops and looks up. I sense the voice of a small life form above. Yep, that's observation hockey, definitely. So that confirms, even though it shouldn't really need confirming, but it does confirm that the Gorosei have observation hockey. So they've displayed armament and observation and conquerors. So they have possessed all forms of hockey. Okay. Small life form. And the next panel is Mars speaking. Where is the entrance? And he flies up towards Punk Records. Then we've got Lilith, or that's Stussy, on looking on. Huff, huff. What a relief it's gone. I guess it wasn't interested in us. The feeling is mutual. And there's Kaku inside of the bubble still. What in the blue blazes was that monster? Going off what we overheard, I think it's one of the five elders. Go figure, what a repulsive transformation. So why are you still here? Did your new pals leave you high and dry? I'd be downright heartbroken if it weren't for your own recent double cross. I decided to stay of my own volition. Someone needed to be here to carry out this final mission. Okay. So Stussy has a final mission here. What could this final mission be? And it's interesting to note that both Kaku and Stussy hadn't seen the Gorosei's transformations, but last chapter it looked like Lucci had seen the transformation because he wasn't surprised. So that brings up the question, did Lucci see the elders' transformations, or did they show their transformations to Lucci? A. Or B, did Lucci just sense that the only possible reason for that creature's existence is that it's one of the elders? But then the elder's response wasn't surprised that Lucci knew who he was in that form. So yeah, it seemed like the elders showed Lucci, or Lucci witnessed their transformations for some reason in the past. But the other Cypherpole Aegis Zero agents did not know about the elders' transformations. Okay. So final mission, next page. Hang on. We're just gonna leave Stussy behind? There's no help in it. That darn barrier has to be lowered the instant the ship attempts its big escape. And mind you, the Frontier Dome can only be disarmed from the control tower. The lady wanted to do it herself. So Edison speaking to Nami, Chopper, and Robin. So there's Robin finally. And Robin is okay from the looks of things. And there's the Sunny in the background, so they're right there about to board the Sunny. Edison continues, we can only respect that and show our gratitude by getting out of here alive. Nami, of course, we won't waste this chance to escape, but... And Robin says the thing is, how are we meant to cover the distance that Megaforce 1 was originally going to fly us? That's the real head scratcher here, Nico Robin. According to my calculations, all conventional wisdom, we're 100% guaranteed to crash and burn. Seriously? It's Usopp. Guys, I finished loading the coup de burst. We can take off towards the sea the second Zoro and the others get on board. If we don't make it, we'll have to improvise and rely on everyone's powers to get us... Or, if we don't make it, we'll have to improvise and rely on everyone's powers. Let's give it our all. Ah, wowee. This sure is a rowdy crew. They say miracles happen 'cause guts triumph over all. They say miracles happen 'cause guts triumph over all, and I love that theory. Even if I am a scientist. Edison, what are you doing? Gotta make sure your ship reaches the ocean. So Edison leaps off the side of the Mary and off the island cloud. Trust me, projected damage is 78%. I ain't dying, not yet. And Edison crashes into the barrier. So I guess he jumped off the ship and crashed into the barrier to do some damage to it, I suppose, and make it easier for the ship to get out. For the Straw Hat ship to pass through. Okay, next page. A terrible vortex is emanating from the island. We've got Shepard, and he's inhaling everything around him, basically. What power? It's sucking us in. We're not getting anywhere. And we've got Dory, Brogy, and Luffy all running, trying to escape the suction. Damn it. If you're so hungry, snap. Try chewing on this building. And Luffy jumps and kicks a building to break it off. And the building gets sucked right into Shepard's mouth. Roar. Grrr. Ah. Gah. This is a real thrill. Wheeze. I'm beat. And Luffy has his gear 5th has run out, and now he's all wrinkled up and tired. What the Straw Hat? You look like an old man. I'm all out of food and power. Food? Want some of our hackle? Hakaro. Hakaro? Bleh, what's that smell? Fermented shark. It's an emergency ration from Elbaf. Gah. It may stink, but it's tasty. Luffy's eating up the Harko. Whoa, now that hit the spot. Yeah. Your body's so expressive. You're back to normal. And Luffy is back to his normal shape. The boar's charging. We've got Top Man coming after them. Leap. Gear 3rd. Gum. Red Rock. And he uses Red Rock right on the top of Top Man's head. Ow! How hard is this guy's skin? And Luffy is wrapping his arm and shouting in pain as his hand is shivering with pain, even though it's coated in armament hockey and still blown up from the Gear Third. So that's interesting. Is this... Let's see. The top of Topman's head. Is it armament hockey? Did Topman use armament hockey on the top of his head as Luffy was attacking? And that's what caused it to hurt? Or is the skin just that hard? But it has to be, yeah, it has to be armament hockey because Luffy doesn't feel pain from blunt force. He's a rubber man, so he doesn't feel pain from blunt force. So it doesn't matter how hard the skin of... Doesn't matter how hard Topman's skin is normally, Luffy wouldn't feel pain from it unless it was armament hockey. So yeah, I'm gonna say that Topman's used armament hockey to protect himself from Luffy's attack. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, next panel, we have Topman glaring. Back to the Labostratum entrance. Yeah! Hey, hang on. What in the world? Who goes there? We got Usopp aiming a slingshot as we see Saturn's claws. Saturn is starting to climb onto the cloud. And Chopper says it looks like a crab. Northeast coast. The Giants. Huh? Who the heck is that? Now we've got Atlas, Bonnie, and Frankie, and they're looking on Venustero, who's just arrived there, and Shadow, still in his hybrid form, and it looks like he's cut down at least one of the giants. The one that was carrying Kuma, he cut down. And now Punk Records Labostratum. There's only one more minute, Stella. I know. Kerchuk. And now we have Mars in his human form. This must be it. It seems fortune did not favor you this time, Vegapunk. Gurgle, gurgle. Gurgle, gurgle. That's the end of the chapter. There's going to be a front and color spread in the next issue. So, it looks like the Gorosei Mars has deactivated the snail, but my immediate thought is there's got to be a backup plan. Because Vegapunk went through all the trouble to set up the Deadman switch. So he would have to assume that the world government would do, as soon as the Deadman switch activated, especially with the 10-minute countdown that he knew was in the video, he would have to implement some kind of backup so that if the original broadcast location was destroyed, the broadcast would pick up again from somewhere else. So I'm not believing for a second that the Gorosei have successfully stopped this broadcast. I think that we'll find out in the next chapter that there's definitely a backup to the Dead Man Switch, and that backup is going to kick on now that the initial broadcast has been interrupted. It seems that each Straw Hat is going to end up each straw or each team of Straw Hats, each group is going to end up at least witnessing one of the Gorosei, because we have Saturn approaching, climbing onto the cloud where Nami, Chopper, Robin, and Usopp are with the Sunny. And I don't think there's a I don't think there's a chance they're going to be able to really fight with Saturn. Then we have Venustro with Frankie, Bonnie, and Edison at the coast. And where was Zoro and Jinbei? Zoro and Jinbei were trying to reunite with the Straw Hats on the ship, so probably I'm thinking maybe Zoro and Jinbei will arrive where Nami, Usopp, Chopper, and Robin are at the ship, since Usopp did say they were waiting for them to arrive, so that might be the case. But yeah, that's probably the case. So the Straw Hats are finally going to be made aware of the existence of the Gorosei in full. A. Be aware of their hybrid forms. Also, the Giants of Elbaf also are becoming aware of this information as well. So, after Egghead, the question becomes, is this information the existence of the Gorosei is not really that big of a secret. I say it's like a mid-level secret, so probably not something they go out of their way to worry about protecting. The existence of the powers that the Gorosei have has been really secret so far. So, is it the case that since the Straw Hats and the Giants and the Vegapunk satellites have all witnessed the Gorosei's form, is it that they all must die now, according to the Gorosei, to keep that information secret? Or is it at this point the Gorosei don't care that the Straw Hats know about their forms? That's going to be the question once this arc is over. Like, what will the Gorosei prioritize? If Vegapunk's message goes off, that is definitely going to be a global incident, and a lot of their focus is going to be on quelling that. Yeah, quelling that incident, putting out that fire. So even if they do put a high priority on killing anyone that has witnessed the Gorosei's transformations, after Egghead, they're going to have to focus a lot of energy on stopping the fallout from Vegapunk's message. So they won't be able to act on killing witnesses as a priority. But it is interesting that quite a few people now have seen the Gorosei's transformations. So with just that, as I said before, the message is definitely going to go off, so I don't think Mars has accomplished anything by stopping that one transponder snail. There's got to be a backup. And they... Oda did a nice quick handoff to handle Luffy's Gear 5 weakness there. It's a good thing. And it totally makes sense. The giant warrior pirates would carry their rations with them, especially since they just got off their ship, just hopped right off their ship onto the island. So naturally, they'd have their rations there. This also prevents a situation where Luffy is depowered for a super long time, because we've already had at least one of that incident happen. So now he's kind of recharged, so we could probably go into Gear 5 again. I did notice that he used Gear 4th in the middle of the chapter, which is good. A lot of people were afraid that now that Gear 4th has been rendered pretty much useless, well, they were worried that the same thing that happened with, like, Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 3 happened, where a new form of higher power is unlocked so quickly after another new form is introduced that it makes the earlier new form introduced completely irrelevant, because why not go to your maximum power right away all the time? But it kind of seems like Luffy will monitor, kind of measure whatever situation he's in and use Gear 4th or 5th accordingly, because there is still a massive drawback. There's a drawback to both of them, but I think the drawback to Gear 5th is more severe anyway, because the Gear 4 drawback is having to wait on recharging its haki. The Gear 5th drawback is his body shriveling up like an old man, can't use haki, and he's been immobilized each time so far. Yeah, he's been immobilized each time so far with the Gear 5 weakness, though. He's been kind of immobilized with the Gear 4 weakness as well, but I think I'd have to go back and look, but I think there have been times where he's been able to kind of move while dealing with the Gear 4 weakness compared to the Gear 5th weakness. But either way, it seems Luffy is not entirely done with Gear 4, which is good. I don't think people really should have been afraid, because even when Luffy got Gear 3rd and then Gear 4th, he still used Gear 2. He still used Gear 2 frequently. And as he got Gear 4th, he still used Gear 3rd sometimes. It just depends on the situation and what he wants and needs to do, and which weaknesses and drawbacks he's willing to deal with, especially considering with Gear 2 and 3rd, he's basically overcome those weaknesses in the post-time skip. So he only has to worry about dealing with weaknesses in Gear 4 and Gear 5th, even though I think since he's unlocked Gear 5th, he probably doesn't have that He might not even have that weakness with Gear 4 anymore. We haven't seen him fight with it, go on a full-on Gear 4 fight, use up all his hockey situation. But since the weaknesses are so similar, I kind of feel like it might be possible that his Gear 4 weakness is completely overcome as well. So now you can use Gear 2, 3, and 4 without drawbacks. And then it's only Gear 5th that has a drawback. Either way, good to see Gear 4th and Gear 4 attacks. We did get confirmation of observation hockey from the Gordoseis, which is not a surprise, but it is confirmed. Then we've got that armament, which is a question, still kind of a question mark, but I think it makes the most sense that top men use armament hockey. And his armament is at a level where Luffy feels it. Even though that kind of, if that was armament hockey, that brings up a question of if all the Gorosei are around the same power, then all of them should have this a similar strength of armament hockey. It could be the case, or it could be the case that the Gorosei have varying powers among varying strength levels in terms of their hockey among each of them. And it could be like Topman is an armament hockey specialist, so he has really advanced armament hockey. Still some questions about the Gorosei's powers, but they are becoming more and more solidified as the chapter goes on, as the chapters go on, and we see more of them in action. There's a question of the Pacifista and what they're going to do. Nestor noted that Bonnie has the power to destroy nations with her being in control of the Pacifista. So that is definitely something they're going to want to, the world government is going to want to nip in the bud. Especially since that does kind of set them back, since the Pacifista were one of their major forces. And it seems that Bonnie's control is just to the Pacifista, so it doesn't extend all the way up to the Seraphim, which means the world government should still have control of the Seraphim. And force-wise, the Seraphim are definitely more powerful than the Pacifista Mark III, but there are fewer of them, and they're probably not as easy to deploy. And I believe there was talk of them just recently finishing the Seraphim, so they might still be in an experimental phase. While with the Pacifista, they are a tried and true weapon tested by the world government. The world government has used them for a long time, at least 2+ years since their development and creation. And they have a larger number of them. They're probably easier to replace than the Seraphim, but also we have to consider after the end of Egghead that the world government will no longer have the facilities to and the resources to create Pacifista like that, depending on how the arc ends. Because if they have York, then that covers the scientific knowledge to create the Pacifista and continue to create Seraphim and other weapons like that. If the island and the lab is entirely destroyed, that system back, they would have to have York rebuild a new lab to create weapons for the world government, so they'd be set back in that area, the resources and materials to build the weapons. So that would set them back, and losing control of the Pacifista Mark III would mean they wouldn't have time to build new Pacifista Mark III. That process would take some time, and in that time they would have 0 Pacifista under their control, which completely take Pacifista off the table as a weapon for the world government. Would they happen? I kind of feel like it probably won't. But I don't think it's going to be that Bonnie gets killed in this arc, and that restores control of Pacifista to the world government. Yeah, there's a question there. Still a lot of questions. Also, we had the activation of the giant ancient machine in the last chapter. Didn't show up at all in this chapter. We did have what I think is a hint at the giant machine doing exactly what people were kind of expecting it would do, which was carry the Sunny off the island. Because in the conversation with Edison, before Edison leapt off the ship and crashed into the Frontier Dome shield barrier, he mentioned that the Vega Force 1 robot was supposed to carry the ship off the island. Now that they don't have the Vega Force 1 robot to carry the ship off the island, they're kind of up a creek. And that's exactly where I think the ancient machine is going to step into the picture. It's going to carry the Sunny off the island. The question is that all the robot is going to do? Just carry them off the island, or is it going to follow the Straw Hats and the Giants to Elbaf? Because if the ancient machine is truly activated, going to stay activated, then it could very well go to Elbaf with the Straw Hats and then stay at Elbaf as a protective force, which would protect Elbaf from attacks from the world government, even the Gorosei, depending on how strong the ancient machine is. Be a level of protection around Elbaf that ensures that any people that stay on Elbaf, if Bonnie stays on Elbaf, or if any of the surviving Vegapunk satellites, or Vegapunk, if he survives, if they stay on Elbaf, the ancient giant can help protect them. So it could serve that purpose. It could also end up destroying itself either on the way, not not on the way, I'm going to say either in the process of getting the Straw Hats off of Egghead or on the way to Elbaf. It could end up destroying itself in that mission, in that task. Another possibility, but I kind of don't really see it happening because the Ancient Machine has already survived so much. It might deactivate again, but I kind of don't see that happening at this stage. If it was going to deactivate, like it only responds to the presence of Joy-Boy, then it would have deactivated each time Luffy fell out of Gear 5, and it hasn't. So it seems like it's activated, not for good, but I don't know, at least until its current, whatever is powering it right now, at least until that current charge dies out. But yeah, that's going to be it. It's a really good chapter to come back to. Got a nice build-up. Oda's feeling good, which is great to hear. Everything's on the up and up. Looks like we're going to be ending the Egghead Island arc probably over the next, I think I said was 5 to 10 chapters, and that's probably still looking like that, about 5-10 chapters, depending. But yeah, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and comment and subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next chapter. See ya.